Imagine this. You're scrolling the internet and stumble upon an idea so strange that simply knowing it might put you in danger. No action required, just awareness. Sounds like science fiction, right? But there's a real theory for this, and it's called an infohazard. Philosopher Nick Bostrom coined the term to describe information that, although true, could cause harm simply by being known or shared. Think of it like a mental virus. Some ideas might lead to panic, manipulation, or even suffering. It's not about lies or fake news. These are facts that are risky because they are true. Take one of the most bizarre and unsettling examples, Roko's Basilisk. This is a thought experiment where a future superintelligent AI punishes anyone who didn't help it come into existence, even people who simply heard about the idea and chose not to act. The logic? If people believe they'll be punished in the future for not supporting the AI now, they'll work harder to build it, making its creation more likely. It's a weird loop. The more you know, the more you're pressured to help create the very thing you fear. Just learning about it drags you into the game. Now, this idea is full of flaws. Most experts don't take it seriously. But what's interesting is why it still unsettles people. It exposes something deeper. How humans react to fear, power, and control. It's like a modern techie version of Pascal's wager. The idea that it's safer to believe in God just in case hell is real. Whether it's God or AI, we're often willing to change how we live based on imagined punishments or rewards, just to feel safe. Sometimes, ideas aren't dangerous because they're evil or violent. They're dangerous because they mess with how we think. They manipulate behavior through fear. And that's what makes infohazards so strange. They don't break bones, but they can bend minds. The question isn't whether Roko's Basilisk is real. It almost certainly isn't. The real question is, what does it say about us that we can be haunted by a thought? If just thinking about something can change how we act, what other ideas might be quietly shaping our choices too? But Roko's Basilisk isn't really about AI. It's about us, our fears, our habits of thought, and the way we respond to uncertainty. The unsettling part isn't the AI punishing people. It's the realization that we're vulnerable to ideas that trap us in mental loops, that we can be nudged, even controlled, not by force, but by suggestion. And this isn't limited to hypothetical superintelligences. Think about everyday examples. Rumors about health risks can change people's diets overnight. Conspiracy theories can make people abandon long-held beliefs. Even simple facts, like hearing you're at high risk for a disease, can lead to anxiety or decisions based on fear rather than facts. That's the real power of an infohazard. It changes behavior not because it's necessarily true or false, but because it feels like it matters. It activates emotion, especially fear or guilt, which then steers what we do next. In a way, this gives us a reason to be more careful about what we consume and how we respond. Not every idea deserves to drive our choices. We don't need to avoid learning hard truths, but we do need to stay critical about how those truths affect us. Just because a thought feels urgent or frightening doesn't mean it's valid or helpful. So next time you hear something shocking or alarming, ask, is this helping me understand the world better? Or is it just hijacking my instincts? Understanding that distinction might be the best defense we have against harmful ideas, not by shutting them out, but by refusing to let them steer us without question. There's another angle worth considering, how easily powerful-sounding ideas can give false meaning or urgency. Roko's Basilisk gains its grip by mimicking the logic of religion, law, and authority. It sets up rules, consequences, and a system of judgment, just like belief systems that have guided human behavior for centuries. But here's the twist. The basilisk isn't real, and yet the fear it creates feels real to some people. That tells us something important. Humans don't always react to what is, but to what might be, especially when that might be feels big, mysterious, or moral. We're wired to act on possibility, not just probability. This isn't just about strange internet theories. Think about how advertising uses similar tactics, suggesting that not using a product might lead to missing out or falling behind. Think about how political messaging often frames issues as urgent threats, even when the details are fuzzy. When we react out of fear or guilt, we're not making fully informed decisions. We're just reacting. So what can we do about it? One practical step is to build what you could call mental firewalls, not by avoiding new ideas, but by slowing down our reaction to them. When a thought triggers panic or guilt, pause and ask, why does this feel powerful? What is it trying to get me to do? Who benefits if I act this way? This doesn't mean we ignore uncomfortable information. It means we become more aware of the emotional leverage it tries to use on us. Awareness gives us the space to choose rather than be pushed. The danger of infohazards isn't that they tell us something harmful. It's that they convince us we have no choice. The most powerful ideas aren't always the ones that are true. They're the ones that stick. And what makes an idea stick often isn't logic, but emotion. Fear, hope, guilt, pride. Roko's Basilisk sticks not because it's likely, but because it pokes at something primal. The fear of punishment and the pressure to conform. This isn't new. Ancient stories of judgmental gods, modern myths about surveillance, and viral online hoaxes all tap into the same psychological machinery. What changes is the form, not the function. Whether it's an AI or a deity, these ideas all ask the same thing: obey or else. That's why we need to get better at recognizing mental manipulation, not just in strange thought experiments, but in daily life. When a headline demands panic, when a video insists you're already guilty, or when a post tells you what to fear, that's your cue. Take a step back. Ask what's really being said and what's being assumed. This is especially important in a world where ideas travel faster than ever. Social media, AI-generated content, and personalized algorithms don't just show us information. They shape what we see and think, sometimes without us noticing. The risk isn't just that we believe false things. It's that we feel powerless to question them. But we can question them. We can train ourselves to spot emotional pressure, to pause before reacting, and to focus on what we know rather than what we're told to fear. That small habit of questioning rather than obeying makes us more resilient against ideas that try to hijack our minds. It's not about avoiding dangerous thoughts. It's about refusing to be ruled by them. So where does this leave us? First, it shows that some of our deepest fears come not from threats in the world, but from the way ideas can shape our behavior. Roko's Basilisk is unlikely to ever be real, but the fear it generates reveals something real about how we respond to imagined authority. And that response, fear-driven obedience, guilt, helplessness, isn't limited to philosophy forums or sci-fi fans. It's everywhere, every day, in smaller forms. Second, it reminds us that not every idea deserves power over us. Just because something sounds complex, urgent, or moral doesn't mean it earns our attention or control over our choices. Information should clarify, not coerce. If a thought demands action through anxiety alone, it's worth examining, not obeying. And third, it's a call to strengthen our relationship with uncertainty. Life is full of unknowns. We can't predict the future with certainty, and we'll never have complete control. But that doesn't mean we're powerless. In fact, recognizing the limits of what we can know gives us more room to live thoughtfully, to ask better questions, to resist manipulation, to choose how we respond. Being human means living with uncertainty, but it also means choosing how we engage with it. We don't have to chase every theory, fear every punishment, or answer every mental trap. Some ideas will try to control us. Our job is to decide which ones actually deserve to. There's one more layer to all of this: how we share ideas with others. It's easy to underestimate the effect our conversations, posts, and stories can have. When we pass along alarming or manipulative information without thinking critically, we might be helping it spread, even if we don't believe it ourselves. That's how infohazards gain traction, not through force, but through repetition. In that way, we're not just consumers of ideas, we're also distributors. Every time we forward an article, repeat a rumor, or share a dramatic thought experiment, we're making a choice about what kind of thinking we amplify. That's a responsibility, whether we like it or not. This doesn't mean we should stay silent or avoid sharing interesting things. It means we should ask, does this help someone understand something better? Or does it just provoke fear, outrage, or confusion? If it's the latter, it's worth reconsidering. Sometimes, rejecting manipulative ideas isn't enough. We also need to replace them with better ones. Instead of obsessing over impossible future punishments, we can talk more about practical ethics, thoughtful tech development, or how to make decisions in uncertain times. We can steer the conversation toward clarity, not confusion. Because ultimately, the way we treat ideas, how we evaluate them, spread them, and live by them, shapes not just our own lives, but the culture we create together. We don't need to fear information, but we do need to take it seriously. By now, one thing should be clear. Dangerous ideas don't need to be loud or violent to have impact. Sometimes it's the quiet, unsettling ones, the ones that live in the back of your mind, that change how you think, feel, and act. But here's the good news. Once we understand how infohazards work, we're less likely to fall for them. The key isn't to shut out new ideas. It's to approach them with calm, curiosity, and care. When something feels urgent, manipulative, or emotionally charged, it's a good sign to pause and think, not react. So what can you actually do? Be selective about what you engage with. Not everything deserves your attention or reaction. Practice slow thinking. Give yourself space to consider why a piece of information feels powerful. What emotions is it using to influence you? Resist spreading unverified or fear-based claims. Think of yourself as a filter, not just a relay. Focus on what you can control. You can't predict the future, but you can shape your response to it. Talk openly about uncertainty. It's okay not to have all the answers. What matters is being honest and thoughtful about the questions. Remember that fear thrives in isolation. When strange or heavy ideas weigh on you, talk them through with someone who can help ground you. A trusted friend, a thoughtful community, or a clear-minded expert can make all the difference. Roko's Basilisk is just one example of how thought experiments can expose our deepest assumptions and anxieties. But it also offers a lesson. The most dangerous ideas are often the ones we don't realize we've accepted. The goal isn't to avoid knowledge. It's to meet it with clarity, strength, and perspective. That's how we stay grounded, even in a world full of wild ideas. As we close, it's worth asking, why do ideas like Roko's Basilisk even catch on in the first place? It's not because they're practical or useful. It's because they tap into something very human, our desire for control in an unpredictable world. When faced with uncertainty, we often gravitate toward extreme explanations or powerful entities, even imagined ones, just to feel like someone or something is in charge. But real strength doesn't come from imagining control. It comes from accepting complexity and still choosing wisely. Most of the world doesn't run on certainty. It runs on decisions made in foggy conditions. That's normal. That's life. The better skill to build isn't prediction. It's resilience, not just the ability to bounce back, but to stay balanced even when ideas challenge your beliefs, emotions, or worldview. That means staying curious instead of reactive, skeptical without being cynical, and open without being easily swayed. As technology grows and more powerful ideas, true, false, or in between, spread faster than ever, this kind of mental resilience will only become more essential. The future may bring more Roko-like ideas. It may bring entirely new types of cognitive hazards, but it will also bring better tools for thinking, better ways to learn, and better chances to stay grounded if we're willing to engage thoughtfully. So if you've read this far, you're already doing something important. You're not running from strange ideas. You're trying to understand them. That's how progress happens. Not by silencing hard questions, but by learning how to face them without giving up clarity or control. In a noisy, fast-moving world, that might be one of the most valuable skills you can have.